Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we'll learn a little bit more about the emerald ash borer. My guest today is Corey Millis, Operations Manager with the Public Works Department. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, we're here to talk about a rather serious subject. I know that people in Ames love their trees, and we have a blight, an illness, an insect that is invading. Tell us a little bit about the emerald ash borer.
Yes, the emerald ash borer came over from Asia, and it attacks ash trees. It started kind of on the East Coast, and now it's making its way west. It's been found in several counties in Iowa already, and it actually kills ash trees, all varieties, and in 3 to 5 years, once you find the infestation, ash trees will start to die.
So this is really catastrophic. This is Dutch elm disease kind of situation where potentially very few ash trees will survive.
Correct. There are options, and cities are looking at a lot of different things, whether it's removals, especially poor health condition ash trees, because that's what they go after first. There are some treatment options, but they're kind of long-term solutions to the issue.
So the one sort of silver lining here is that we've had some time to prepare and plan. One of the things I know that your department has worked on is a tree inventory.
Yes, a couple summers ago, we had some urban forestry interns who went through the entire city and inventoried all the right-of-way trees and almost all the park trees, kind of in the maintained areas. So we have a good idea of how many ash trees we have, plus all of our other trees. And after that, we were lucky to be part of a DNR pilot grant, where we're one of 3 cities that work with an urban forester through the DNR. And he's helped us kind of develop a overall tree management plan, but obviously looking at ash right now with that being on the horizon.
Now let's be clear, the inventory of the trees was for trees on public property, which would be trees in the parking, that area between the sidewalk and the curb, and then in parks and other public spaces. We don't know how many ash trees there are on individuals' own property.
No, we don't have any idea. We can kind of maybe guesstimate. We know for the city there's about 14% of the right-of-way and park trees were ash that we inventoried. So if you kind of applied that to the city, obviously the numbers of ash trees would go up significantly if you counted private trees.
Now, do ash trees have a specific look? How do you, the leaves, is that how you determine you have a tree?
Yeah.
How are these large, magnificent trees, or how do you describe them?
Yeah, I would tell most people if they think they might have an ash tree, Google it. I think the images show you that the leaves, what they look like. It's pretty easy to identify right now. There's also some apps like Leaf Snap that you can download for an iPad or an iPhone, where you can take a picture of a leaf, and it should tell you if it's an ash tree. Obviously, it's not going to get down to maybe the variety, but it should get you close.
Now, is it every variety of ash that can be affected by this, or could you have ash in the name of your tree and it's not really one that's likely to be attacked?
Right now, it appears to be all ash trees, and so I think if people think they might have an ash tree, it might be a good time to maybe talk to a professional about what their options could be during the infestation, and we hope to start a big public outreach campaign and really tell people a lot more in detail about the emerald ash borer and what their options might be.
So talk a little bit about the plan that the city's developed to sort of move forward. Obviously, trying to treat every tree is probably not going to work.
Yeah, so we are going to City Council on June 17th for a workshop to discuss this issue, really focusing more on the emerald ash borer and ash trees, part of the management plan, and kind of get their feedback, let them know about treatment and removals and kind of some of the financial obligations that are going to go along with that, and get their feedback on what they might want to see how the city responds. And then once we have that information, we'll really let people know what our plan is.
So for a lot of communities, and I know for the university as well, it's been sort of a combination of removal and replanting. Do you see that as part of a city plan?
Definitely. Obviously losing 14% of our right-of-way trees when some of these are very mature is going to be a big impact on our overall canopy for the city. So replanting is going to be a big issue. One of the pluses is that we might be able to work on the diversity of the city. So for the next infestation or disease that comes through that attacks a species, that will be better prepared.
So recently, through the Ames 150, the sesquicentennial celebration, there was a tree planting of 150 trees that sort of gets us started. I'm guessing they weren't planting ash trees, most likely.
Yes, I'm not sure you could find an ash tree around now in nurseries or anything like that, but I think it's that type of thing that really shows that Ames values trees and the community values trees, so hopefully we can continue that.
Now, I've heard actually from some private homeowners who have started the treatment that it is something that if you decide to go that route, you have to really be committed to it.
Yes, from the research that's out there now, there's different options, but it's usually kind of a biannual or triannual treatment, and it will be for the life of the tree. If you stop treating it, the infestation of the emerald ash borer most likely will happen. So people need to be aware of that starting treatments means it's a long-term commitment if you're hoping to keep the ash tree for a long time.
So tell me a little bit about how the emerald ash borer actually does kill the tree.
It's actually the larva of the emerald ash borer, and it bores into the tree, and it actually kind of stops the water uptake. As the signs are, you'll start to see the canopy die back on the top as it works its way down. We'll start looking for it. A lot of areas around here where you peel and you look for a certain type of exit holes. They're called D-shaped exit holes from the larva. And so once you see those, then you realize that you have an infestation. And once you know you have an infestation, you work with the state to make sure it's actually emerald ash borer. But then that kind of your timeline, once you find it for tree deaths, is that 3 to 5 years where you'll really start to see a decline in ash trees.
So like you said, we've had some warning that this is coming and had time to prepare. So what are the next steps that the city's going through? You mentioned a workshop on the 17th with the council to get some direction, but a community-wide sort of assessment and plan from that point forward?
Yes, so we'll start a community-wide plan. Luckily with the inventory, we'll probably be able to make a map for people for the right-of-way trees, not the private trees obviously, but to let them know if they have an ash tree in front of their property. And so we can begin that dialogue and some training for options on the public, but also private side. Let people know what they need to look for in a contractor and qualifications and things like that for treatment or removals.
So we actually have a street in Ames named Ash. Are there a lot of ash trees on Ash?
I don't think not that many on that stretch. You see it more in maybe the kind of newer subdivisions. There's kind of a time period where ash tree was a very popular tree because it grew well in the right-of-way and it was a very nice looking tree. So some of those kind of 90s to 2000 areas probably have a higher concentration, but throughout town you'll find them in areas.
Well, great. I hope that you come back and update us periodically on the progress that we're making. But a serious problem with the trees, and it's good that there's a plan in place to take some action.
Yep, and if people have more questions, they can certainly contact us at Public Works, and we'll be happy to talk to them about the trees.
All right. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
Well, if you're thinking about your own trees, you can contact the Public Works Department at 239-5160 and get some more information about the emerald ash borer. Also, looking into the summer, there's a lot of activities going on in Ames. It is the Ames Sesquicentennial, and we do have a 3-day celebration planned right around July 4th. The celebration kicks off with the fireworks on July 3rd at Ryman Gardens and continues through the weekend with a downtown festival. You can get more information on that at ames150.com. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.